All right, so a quick one for the Eisenhower Desert Orthopedic Center. Little directory sign mounts to the pillars there, the little supports. Anyway, the acrylic and everything's already sent supposedly by somebody else, so this is just the metal part. It's just 1/8 inch backer here. You got these pieces here, and you're just gonna weld them up. So all you're going to do is weld these little pieces on, but main thing is make sure you do it in the right order and everything faces out. So the idea is this thing is going to clamp to the vertical supports here, here, and here. So in the way that the vertical supports are arranged, we have to clearance these little nuggets here. So the idea is the clamp is going to go over on the outside and kind of miss this and come down and do the other side. So you'll have these little bolts that'll kind of clamp to each one. Um, so in order, that's kind of right there, a little picture of it. So in order to miss everything, we got to make sure everything's kind of done in the proper order and everything's on the proper side. So that's all. So you're just going to take 1/4 20 riv nuts. I ordered in some shorties here. You want to make sure that it's the short version and not the long version because we're not going to have a lot of room in here and we don't want it to be sticking out a lot. You're going to go ahead and put those in. Make sure that, so on the left side one, there's going to be a scribe that has the L on it. Look out for that, and then make sure that the squish faces out. And so make sure that you riv nut, you basically are riv nutting on the side that has the arrows. So from that side, and make sure the squish sticks out. Same thing with these guys, you're gonna riv nut from the side that has the arrow. These two face the same direction, so that's why I made these two green in the picture here, and the purple one is the only one that's different, but it has an L on it, and you're gonna weld that over here. The shorty guys are symmetrical, so you can put the riv nuts on either side, doesn't matter, but just make sure when you weld them that the squish is to the outside. So when you weld these on, you're only going to be welding from the outside portion here and here, because obviously we need to keep the inside clear for the bars. So again, make sure that you weld these really well. This is not an ideal welding situation because you're only going to be welding on one side. And unfortunately, when you go to tighten these bolts down, whoever does an install, it's actually going to be working directly against the worst part of the weld. So you'll have the weld only on the outside, and then when you tighten this down, it's just going to want to peel that weld off. So make sure that it's welded properly. On the long ones, make sure you get up to the top here and you weld up into that little cubby there and you connect that, because that's going to be important to kind of give it as much strength as possible. And then once you get done welding that, flip it around and go ahead and weld the front, weld the dog bones, and then grind those smooth. But that'll also give it some strength, so that way when they go to tighten down these bolts, it might resist peeling and just breaking apart. So if install Darnell or whoever's putting this up, just like I said before, make sure that you don't over tighten these bolts. The idea is that you'll have this bent flange on the top, and it's going to hook the top there in like it does in this picture here, and then the bolts are just to keep it from kind of coming off basically. So but again, if you over tighten these bolts, you have the potential of actually kind of peeling the welds possibly. So I have shown here 3/4 inch, but you can see where space is a kind of an issue. But if it's too short, then it won't tighten because it'll bottom out against the riv nut. So depending on how much squish is left, you might need to be using one of these three. So I went ahead and brought these in. These can just go in the bins if we already have some. I just in case we were out, you know. But I have a 3/4, 5/8, and a half coming. Half probably is too short, just in case 3/4 is too long. So obviously the sweet spot is one of these. Again, I brought in some shorty 1/4 20s. I didn't know if we had shorties, but you want to use those. But again, that's it. It's really simple. You're just going to weld on the outside, make sure the squishes to the out, face out. Put the bolts in there for them, and then install is just going to hang it and then kind of tighten it down and keep it from going anywhere. So again, yeah, you're just going to weld the face there, clean that up. This has a bend. The scribe marks on the bend mark there, so or on the flange. So just bend that. And that should, I think, do it. So if you have any questions, hit me up.